I've been using the same exact mouse at my desktop since August of 2016, and that's the Feenix Vitesse. Now, since I want to start moving forward with peripheral reviews on the channel, I figured this would be a good opportunity to give you guys sort of my take on the mouse that I've been using for nearly 3 years now, and sort of where that sets my expectations for products moving forward. So getting started, the ergonomics of this chassis obviously aged really well. I mean, it's a basic ergonomic design made for right-handed use. Doesn't really have any texture on the sides of the mouse, but I never really had any issue maintaining grip with it. It's a medium-sized mouse, so if your hand is a little bit on the small side, this may be a touch uncomfortable for you, but again, it's got a really clean ergonomic shape to it, so I would imagine that all but the largest of hand sizes should find this pretty comfortable. Now, the shape of this mouse definitely lends itself, I feel, towards a claw-style grip, but even if you are a palm gripper, this should still be fine for you, especially over a long-term use case like mine. Now, this has Omron switches throughout the mouse, so of course they've held up extremely well, and all of the clicks still feel the same as they used to. And I'll go ahead and do a click test into my microphone now so you guys can see more or less what they sound like. The left and right clicks for this mouse still feel really nice, but the thumb buttons. The thumb buttons kind of always felt like an afterthought on this to me. There's a hell of a lot of travel between when you start depressing the button until you actuate the switch, so it leaves these feeling really mushy and vague. I got used to them over time, but it still feels really bad, especially in comparison to other mice that I've had in my hands and just sort of messed around with briefly in recent history. The textured scroll wheel on this mouse still feels great after all this time. It has started squeaking just a little bit on me. Oh, of course, now I can't get it to squeak. And the textured surface, of course, has held up well as well, so really no complaints there, other than maybe stiff clicking action for the actual scroll wheel click, but that's going to be a matter of personal taste one way or another. The plastics have held up surprisingly well over time. The side plastic for this body is just a basic semi-matte finish plastic. There's nothing special going on here. And the top plastic, which is the soft touch, that's the really impressive bit here, because I owned the other mouse that Feenix makes, the Nisita, and the soft touch finish on that mouse held up really poorly over time, and there's widespread reports, including my own, of the paint on it basically just peeling off entirely. It felt really bad, it looked really bad. This is the exact opposite of that. It's held up exceptionally well. As for the feet configuration on this mouse, they actually held up pretty well. I like the broad front foot on this mouse, but the rear foot being sort of as slim as it is never really felt 100% stable for me. I really would have liked there to be a fatter rear foot on this mouse. That being said, I only recently replaced these, like we're talking last week. I replaced these feet for the first time because it took that long for this mouse to really start feeling noticeably bad. Now, the sensor this mouse used was the Avago 3310. Well, I guess it still uses it. It works. If I had any long-term complaints about this sensor, it's that the implementation in this mouse only gives you 5 stages of DPI adjustment for 400, 800, 1800, 3200, and 5000 DPI. I personally would really have liked to seen just a touch more granularity to DPI stepping, because I usually tend towards around a 900 to 1000 DPI setting, depending on the game that I'm playing, in-game settings, monitor resolution, all that happy crap. Probably my least favorite thing about this mouse, however, is the cable. This thing is unnaturally stiff. Even after all this time, it has not lost its rigidity. I mean, you have to spend so much time taming this cable to do what you want it to do. If you have to shift your desktop setup around it all, you have to spend that much time completely retraining this cable. The other problem with it is that where it exits the mouse body sits pretty close to your tabletop or your mouse pad surface, and it even seems to exit almost at a downward angle. At least that's the case on my sample. All told though, it makes for a more unpleasant experience with the cable than should be present on this mouse. But maybe something like that doesn't bother you. I don't know. Now, all that being said, my favorite thing about this mouse will always be the white LED lighting on it. It only has the one lighting mode, white and on, but to this day, this is some of the cleanest white LED lighting I think I've ever seen on a peripheral. The nice thing about it too is that it blends pretty seamlessly even into a sort of business class environment. Like if you were to take this to your job and use it, because there is no onboard memory and it just uses stock Windows mouse drivers, even in professional work environments, say something like finance, where there's a lot of sensitive data that moves around, you could very easily get away with using something like this, and it would work better and be more comfortable to use than a stock mouse that your company would otherwise provide for your computer. That was another really big seller for me with this particular mouse. There's no bulky, stupid software to use that just sort of gums up the works, if you will, and just makes your experience more annoying than it needs to be. It's just a raw, plug-and-play experience. And to that end, it's actually served me extremely well over these past several years. All right, well, I guess that about does it. Farewell, Feenix Vitesse. You served me well, and as a product, you held up extremely well. I feel like I personally got good use out of it and good value for my money, but times change, and so do my personal taste in products. So next week, I'm going to be taking a look at the mouse that has now become my daily driver. Spoilers, it's the one that's on my desk now. Anyway, toss a thumbs up if you liked what you saw, get subscribed for more content coming at you every other week, and don't forget to follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram @TheManicGeek. And as always, I'll catch you guys next time. So take it easy.